are not dying by the tens of thousands in the line of journalistic duty or whatever it is that we're supposed to believe from the translated to English and other non-Arabic languages Hamas line that we get from the media. They are supposedly being starved and supposedly being starved by Israel. Now, certainly viewers of the channel know, because we've talked about it so much, that this not only is not true, uh, and by the way, should be true, not specifically the population in Gaza, and that is the adult population, and the children, unfortunately, wherever they are in the world, are always, they don't get to decide how they live. It's an adult decision. Yeah, the right thing to do would have been to starve the Palestinians, but Israel has done the exact opposite. And since the massacre of Jews by the Palestinian people on October 7th, has rewarded the Palestinians with more aid than they actually needed. Now, we've known the whole time because we've seen videos of Hamas gunmen taking over trucks, in some cases killing the truck drivers just to take over the aid to make sure that it doesn't get to any Palestinian civilians. We've talked about how in Rafah, prices in the market went down by 50% on within days after Israel killed the terrorists in charge of taking over the aid. So the latest story that made the headline of the New York Post is not a surprise to anybody watching this channel, but unfortunately, that we're a small minority in terms of where people get their commentary and news of the war. So New York Post making this a headline story is a big deal. Hamas, the Gaza Health Ministry, which you hear a lot from, has been hiding tons of baby formula and in their offices to make sure it doesn't get to any Palestinian babies, so that Palestinian babies die, so that those of you in the West who support the Palestinians have stuff to say to the world, and of course, lie about who is the perpetrator of the crime that you are reporting. Welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm Razi Ginsburg, joined by Daniel Kraus. Daniel, there's the starvation story is one of those stories that we talk about from time to time because it pops up. It pops up every single day if you follow certainly people on X talking about the Middle East. This is one of the main things they talk about is starvation. Um, but yeah, so from time to time it's a big enough story, and when it's a big enough story because of another expose of where there is starvation, it is 100% of the time the decision of the Palestinians to starve their own people.
Well, yeah, again, I would stress the point that this should have been an Israeli policy from the start, a complete embargo, complete shutting down of water, electricity, anything coming in until they release the hostages, give up Hamas, show something that they're willing to reform as a Palestinian society at large. And until something like that comes, there should have been a complete stop to everything. This is how every proper war is waged. This is how every war is actually ended, is when the one side that is starving will say, okay, we are no longer really satisfied with this. But no, Palestinians in Gaza are very well fed. Many of them are maybe too well fed. Many of them are even Palestinian population has a sort of a problem with obesity. But yeah, now going into this specific, again, it's like a joke. Like this will not change anything. We've seen that things like that we've seen again and again, like you mentioned the markets, right? We know Hamas has been stealing aid. We know Hamas has been trying to steal from their own people so they can continue existing, so they can continue terrorizing even before October 7th, dismantling infrastructure, so or water pipes, so they have something to shoot their rockets from. This is something that has been happening all the time. And unfortunately, why would this change anything? The fact is that again, yeah, we have a footage to show. I don't know if you want to do it now or later. But
No, it doesn't have to be now. I was just
Okay.
wondering if it's a part of it.
Um, sorry, absolutely. Here we again, here we have a story of, and this specifically the not enough baby formula was something that was even specifically being talked about a few months ago. The fact that maybe even with food coming in, there's not enough baby formula, and now we have here like Hamas having them stacked for what reason? To like redistribute them later? Like if this wasn't found out about, what would happen? Would they at some point distribute it or whatever? And the fact is that despite the starvation claims, it was never real, right? When the ceasefire was announced, suddenly there's no starvation. Suddenly it went away. From one day to the other, despite the fact that something like starvation, or something like humanitarian aid, you need like weeks or months to set it up, to properly distribute it, to give it to people, especially, the people who would be starving the first would probably be the hardest to redistribute to, because those were the last ones who had it before. So, but no, once you have the ceasefire, suddenly there's no starvation. And this shows that it was always a political tactic, right? Yeah, I mean, we are well, more than 2 years into a war. It's kind of hard to starve for 2 years.
Yeah, the fact that immediately after the ceasefire was announced, like literally 2 or 3 days, UNRWA says, actually, we have enough aid for months. you know, it's not that they discovered it that day. It's that was when they said, okay, we can say this because the whole time what we say, in press releases and tweets, go check out UNRWA's Twitter. I recommend it. Like really, and look and scroll back, spend some time on it. Look at what they say and when they say it. Yeah, it's like okay, this has served its purpose, and now we can move on. Now. Uh, UNRWA, of course, will never say anything about Hamas holding back any of the aid because UNRWA, as we've said since late 2023 on this channel, is Hamas. Moody says YouTube has frequent charity requests to feed starving Palestinian children. Yeah, I don't get them on. Oh, I don't get them on YouTube because I have YouTube Premium, but I do see them all the time on X. And we did a whole show about the leave a dot Gaza grift. I mean, that's a thing they say, because it helps with the algorithm if you have, hundreds of comments, and a dot is much easier to do than actually write something. And if you want to help the cause and they tell you, okay, all you have to do is leave a dot, people will do that. But if you look at it's just so, I think it um, might require another episode, maybe specifically about Chuffed. Daniel, I don't know how much time you spend on X, but Chuffed, whenever you go to these Gaza grifters, they always have a link to chuffed.org, which is like the GoFundMe of Gaza grifters. Um, and yeah, look, it works. I often, when I go there, I click to see how much they've raised, and they've raised the kind of money that if ARCUK raised, we would be part of the mainstream conversation. So, uh, yeah, it is a, it's scary to see how mainstream in your face lies can become if the people, if enough people and enough people in the right places want this narrative to be put forward, even in the complete face of the truth and in such a clear way. Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. Moody also says, do you think stage two, i.e. Hamas giving up arms, will ever happen? I think you can guess my answer to that, but I will save it for the reality show which follows, and that whole show is about stage two. So we'll talk about that then. Daniel.
Should I comment on the stage two, or do you want to go?
Yeah, you're not on TRS. So if you want to comment, you can go ahead.
Sure. I mean, again, when it comes to with any dictatorship, with any terrorist organization, they will do whatever allows them to continue achieving their goal. So unless it's ridiculous to even suggest, they'll do whatever it takes to reach their ultimate goal, which is the destruction of the state of Israel. So if a ceasefire, a temporary stopping of killing Jews, is something it might help the long-term goal, they'll go for that. If somehow, and now there's talks about, maybe we can put it in the garage and put a lock on it so we won't have it, but it's still there if we like need it. They're trying to sort of come up with like new plans. So will they give up? Maybe in some symbolic, some weird way. But even if they do, there is still a problem. Unless it's giving up of the weapons, meaning IDF comes in, occupies all of Gaza, and disarms them completely. If this is a disarming where Hamas agrees to it, it's gonna be bad no matter how it's gonna be. There's gonna be some way where they're benefiting in the long term, where their ability, which again, I think even giving up all arms and having the protector of all Muslim nations around them protecting Hamas, like UNIFIL has been protecting Hezbollah, I think that might be a good trade-off for them to maybe give up some weapons or give up heavy weapons or do something like that. So I wouldn't necessarily put it besides them, but I wouldn't put it as something positive if it happens. Now going back into this topic, again, this shows the actual death culture of Palestinians, right? Like they want their children to die. Like this is their goal. This is the not necessarily an end in itself, but it's an absolutely good means. I mean, Sinwar has been saying that, right? He said we need people to die. We need children to die. We need civilians to die. This is our only way to win. This is our only way because then the West will come in and will shut down Israel for not doing so. I see some people in the chat talking about like why the IDF didn't do the embargo from the start or something. Well, they did for like a little bit, and whenever they do, they only do it for as long as the resources are still there. Like once the Palestinians actually start running out of food or anything, then Israel will allow it again. I think one, it's not like the IDF. The fact is the political situation in Israel. That's who actually is governed, is doing the main sort of the way the war is going to be fought, or sort of giving the idea of like this is how we will fight it. So I would look at the political side of the reasoning, the main reason why this is being done the way it is. And when it comes to the reasons, one is the lack of moral courage, the lack of basically doing whatever is necessary to end this as soon as possible. And the rest of it, you could say those are pressures, but I think the pressures are just, the other side of you don't have the moral conviction to actually do it. Be it pressure from outside, from international nations, or be it the pressure from inside, from, the bring them home kind of people.
So just to show, and we talk about this a lot as well, how the Palestinian narrative, how successful it has been, even before October 7th, but certainly from October 7th, they didn't need to do much because, they're foot soldiers and their sleeper cells in the West. We're ready for this moment. This is what they waited for. But I think this tweet that I saw is illustrative of how the Palestinian narrative has shaped the pro-Palestinians' completely fictional view of who the Palestinian people actually are. So somebody quote tweeted the New York Post story, which shows some pictures, and the tweet says, Hamas hid tons of baby formula to damage Israel with same Palestinian activist says. And then somebody with 31.5 thousand followers, he got 8,000 retweets, 61,000 likes, 2 million views, said, I'm sorry, I have a hard time believing Palestinians would sacrifice their own kids just to make Jews look bad. This is somebody who is pro-Palestinian and has never, ever given a flying fuck about anything the Palestinians claim they care about. Because if you ever listen to them, if you look at them, if you look historically, Videos again, videos of Palestinians videoing themselves celebrating, mothers celebrating. One I remember was a mother celebrating the death of her 14-year-old son, because that 14-year-old son was sent with a suicide bomb to kill Jews and was successful. He, of course, died at 14, a child. This is a child, presumably somewhere in UN records, this child appears as some sort of victim of Zionism. But this is the Palestinian people. This is Palestinianism. They love the thought of their own children dying if it is in the context of fighting the war to exterminate the Jews. They are all foot soldiers and they are all, sacrificial animals in their own view of themselves.
Yeah, and again, it's also the kind of dying that is happening, right? It's there are people in the West willing to not necessarily die. I think very few people are willing to die, but willing to risk their life for, defending America, defending the European nations. In Ukraine, people willing to risk their life to defend, against the Russian occupation. But what is but there, it's actual positive goal, right? Or at least I hope, the people that do it from the positive goal. Understanding the ideals of America, understanding the relative better nature of Ukraine, and willingness to, or sort of thought of joining the West in it. But what is the values that are driving, Palestinians to not even risk their lives, to straight up die, right? When you wear a suicide vest, that's not you're risking your life for the cause, it's you're dying for the cause. So what are the values there? It is anti-West, it is anti-life, it is anti-individual, because nobody cares about individual Palestinians themselves don't care about the individual Palestinians. The leadership doesn't. It's this weird Palestine or Palestinian, this identity that has to be achieved. And the only way to achieve it is to destroy the state of Israel. The only way to achieve it is to sacrifice the lives of children, the lives of the martyrs, to go and suicide bomb into them, to go into the Nova Festival and kidnap Jews, kidnap foreign nationals, kidnap whoever it is, kill whoever it is, kill the people who are on their side, people like Vivian Silver, destroy all of them for the sake of this Palestine, where it's not even good. It's not prosperous. The individual Palestinians would have much better lives in Israel or any other Western nation, or even, I mean, to some extent, even other like Arab nations. Palestinians, like, even comparatively to others, are in a much worse position. But no, it's not for the success. It's not for life in any meaningful way. It's a complete devotion to that.
Yeah, and the use of children generally in the narrative on the anti-Israel side of this war is also very telling. I mean, a good person judges other people morally, for better or worse. Judgment is, if you see somebody who is good, that you recognize that and act accordingly. You see somebody who's iffy, you act accordingly. You see somebody who's fully evil, you act accordingly. That does not apply to children. A baby born in Gaza and a baby born in Tel Aviv are equal, and they are not subject at that point to a moral judgment because they don't actually exercise their free will and decide how they live. But every single time, every single certainly every single tweet or any single comment you hear from anti-Israel people about the war, if they don't use the word genocide, they use the word children, and they talk about children in Gaza because, um, it's on the one hand, it is the most horrific thing in war that completely innocent people who are just come into this world, don't even understand it, are being taken or from it or suffering, which is could be much worse than death. Uh, but somebody put those children in that position, and the people who put the children in that position are the people who are getting the support of those who are supposedly saying that starvation is bad. And yeah, in a sense, when somebody brings up children in a conversation, they don't believe that they don't believe that they haven't thought through the issue and thought, okay, I am on the side that is right. They're using emotionally manipulative language to completely depart from any discussion on who's right and who's wrong, which of these societies, is better, which country, if there's going to be one country there, would be better. Is it Israel or would it be Palestine run by Hamas? Who is the right side in the war? All these questions are gone out the window on purpose because if you're taking a side where if you discuss the issue honestly you will lose, then you fall back to children and of course intentionally misdefined words.
Yeah, and again, and it's the fact that I don't know for like how many Palestinians even like the first time they saw a Jewish person was on October 7th, was when they went and invaded into Israel. I mean, some of the footage from October 7th is like that's I don't recommend necessarily seeing it, but I've seen one where some Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad, or maybe just a civilian, although he had a gun, saw kids going into a shelter, but the kind of shelter where it's basically it, it's like a concrete thing, but it doesn't have doors. You just like go and like hide inside, right? You basically just go behind the wall and threw a grenade there when he
Yeah,
saw.
that's a bomb. Those shelters are there, to protect people from the rockets that were coming in from Gaza, and they, didn't factor in an invasion.
Yeah, and so the kids went there, and the Hamas soldier like threw a grenade there, and the whole thing is like on the video. That is like scary stuff to see that a human being is capable of something like that. Sees again, like we said, children doing that, and not even like considering any of the fact that they are the ones innocent on both sides. Completely no regard for any human life, and the fact that there are people who defend that Palestinian society, who think that Palestinian society is worth creating, is worth giving it a state, is worth recognizing it more instead of shutting it's down in its like that's what I always say. Like, even if there is somebody who like has problem with Israel for whatever reason, the fact that your response to it is to be on the Palestinian side, it's I don't even care what's your problem with Israel. Once you like choose that side, like again, it's like the people who talk about World War II and have some problem with the West, with the way West has waged war, and their response is to like venerate Hitler. Is to like, okay, so he must have been a good guy because we disagree with something the West has done. It's like I don't even consider your criticism because you have already completely left reality or anything reasonable.
Yeah, and I have to say, pro-Israel people are giving in to the narrative, or at least the framing of the conversation of the Palestinians. If you respond to any of these with, yeah, Israel is doing whatever it can to prevent casualty. No, that is all true. It shouldn't be, but that's not the point. The people, the anti-Israel people have been so accustomed to being able to lie and get away with it, lie about what is actually happening, and lie about who they are, and that needs to stop. So, yeah, the fact that these people talk as if they are against death while supporting the most murderous society on the planet, a society that, as we say, celebrates the death of its own children. You are anti-life if you are pro-Palestinian, and as we always say, you're not actually pro-Palestinian. You don't care about the Palestinians. This is not about people in Gaza, adults, children, elderly. It's not about people in Judea or Samaria. This is about Jews and getting rid of them. And somehow you've been able to push the framing of the conversation as if you're fighting against death. But yeah, but that doesn't fly. Certainly not with us. It doesn't fly with any honest people, and we will keep calling such people out and not let them get away with it.
Yeah, I would only finish with these people do not care about individual Palestinians or sort of uh, again, understanding of human flourishment. But I do support Palestinians correctly because this is what Palestinians, as of right now, stand for. It is the destruction of the West. It is the killing of any Jew they can find. That is what Palestinians stand for. There is nothing else. I really like this line I made. Once Israel gets wiped out, that's a both-sided genocide because the reason for the Palestinian existence evaporates as soon as Israel and Jews in the Middle East go away.
Yeah, that might happen sooner than you think if President Trump's peace plan that has brought peace after 3,000 years to the Middle East continues. Phase B is coming any day now, if reports are to be believed. What does that mean? Plus some comments I have about the weather at the moment in the Middle East. The reality show is coming up in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned for all that. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you on the reality show.